Live. Hey, hello everyone. I think we are live on all streams. What a great way to start off this amazing live with you guys. And let's just go ahead and jump right in. What are we talking about today? We're talking about how to feel grateful when it feels like you have nothing to be grateful for, when you're dealing with challenges, and when just kind of it all feels like it's going to shit. Those are the toughest moments to find gratitude. And that's what we're talking about today, because it's easy to feel grateful when everything feels like it's going the way it should. But oftentimes when it's like that, many of us do take those moments for granted. So I know sometimes it comes off like I don't experience challenges, which I do. I, like every single one of us, maybe it doesn't come off, but whatever. I know that I'm wired in a certain way. It's a lot of the time, it's easier for me to look at situations and draw the positive out of it as it may be for others. And I find gratitude quite easily. That doesn't mean, though, that I don't experience challenges and downs, because it's impossible to feel ups without the downs. And life is just really a series of peaks and valleys. And just as we have light, there needs to be dark to have light. So I know that we all go through it, and I go through it. And, there's multiple ways to look at any situation. And it was interesting. I'll give you an example. Recently, I was at Publix and I was standing in line, and there was a woman standing behind me. And we engaged in a conversation with her because she had bruising on her face, and she had shared that she had a slip and fall in a hospital, and she was in the hospital visiting her husband. And everything about this picture, how you could look at it, seemed pretty grim, very sad. But what I was able to extract, the funny thing is, you can have a conversation about like the two different points of view. And through that conversation with her, I was able to then ask her, because this is just my own personal belief, if I could ask for her husband's name, and if I could pray for him by name. And for me, I thought to myself, how beautiful is it that this situation, that maybe it's really horrible that she experienced that slip and fall and that her husband's in that situation. But if she had not had the bruising on her face, we would have not engaged in the conversation, and I wouldn't have been able to solicit prayers for her husband. That's a way of looking at the situation. The funny thing is that my boyfriend had a completely different perspective of the situation, saying, well, I'm sure she would have been happier had she not had bruising on her face. And this is just a beautiful example to highlight that every situation has two ways of looking at it. You have the light and the dark, and not necessarily one view is a dark, but there's two perspectives of every situation. I'm wired in the way that I was like, man, it really sucks what happened to her, but how amazing is it that because that happened, we can also, and if you'd like to know his name, please pray for him. His name is Frank. That we can then see what positives come out of the situation. And we all go through really horrible, shitty situations. And there is no way. A good friend of mine has, he talks about it as dressing up a disaster. And maybe you can dress up a disaster, but I think a lot of the time it's the challenges in life that help us savor the beauty in life. We've all experienced loss, and there is no right or wrong way to go through it. And no matter what it is, it sucks and it's painful. But I think that I savor moments with my loved ones that much more, because I know that my time with them is limited, and I don't take that time for granted. So it's really a matter of perspective. And there really is no right or wrong way to go about it. But I've just noticed in my life how gratitude really shifts things and changes things for me. And They say that gratitude is the gateway to joy. And this is a beautiful quote from Rhonda Byrne where she says, being grateful is the fastest way for anyone to change their life. And how I change my life through gratitude, and these are some easy hacks, and I don't want to make this the longest live, but everybody's talking about gratitude and some people make it seem so easy, but really sometimes like the sky feels like it's falling and you have to push yourself into that gratitude moment. And one of the ways that I do it, and I do this frequently, if I'm feeling really frustrated about a situation, or when I just feel down, this is a game that I learned from my friend Adam. I'm gonna shout him out again, but I think this is just such a beautiful way to find gratitude, is make a list of A to Z of things that you feel grateful for. So when I'm feeling frustrated, when I'm feeling like I feel like that darkness closing in, or I'm feeling really hopeless, I play the A to Z game and I just start going through my head and thinking about things that I'm grateful for. So A, you can even start, I'm grateful for the fact that I'm alive. B, man, I'm grateful that I'm breathing. And it's funny when you get to certain level, different letters, sometimes it's hard to find things. Like when you get into X, Y, and Z, you're like, man, what are the things that I know for these letters? It's also an opportunity for you to explore your vocabulary. But it's really interesting when you go through this game how sometimes, like later on, some letters will seem so obvious, but in that moment it didn't come to you. It's just really a matter of practice and also like where our focus is. So the A to Z game I find really helpful. It's even more powerful if you write it down, but I always do this game, quite frankly, when I'm walking, like when I'm processing things. I'm often walking. I take my dog for a walk, who, by the way, it's her 14th birthday today. Happy birthday to her. And also, random side note to my niece Cora and my niece Zara. Happy birthday, y'all. But yeah, so I go for walks and I process these things and I do my A to Z's. Another way to find gratitude is the I love game. I've talked about this one beforehand, where maybe it's hard for you to necessarily feel gratitude, but you can like think about things that you really like and enjoy, which is tough when you're in a dark place because everything feels like doom and gloom. But maybe you're lying in bed and everything just, you feel like the world is crumbling, but you have a really comfortable pillow. You love that pillow. You can start there. Just really start with the small things, because if we can't be grateful for the small things, how are you going to feel grateful for the big things? And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Gratitude really is a game changer in my life, and I know in the lives of others. And when we are grateful for situations, even if, say, for example, you have a job that you absolutely hate, you can't stand going to work every day, but you have a job. That's something to be grateful for. You're making money. You're able to support yourself when some people aren't even able to support themselves. Allow yourself that contrast of seeing how lucky you have it. I spoke about this last week with what my grandmother always talked about, where she would say that if everyone in the world would throw their problems in a heap, they would likely take their problems back because they know how to deal with them. And we all experience challenges and we all experience suffering and problems, or however you want to call it. We all go through the muck and the shit of life. But we do also know how to deal with our own challenges, and we also, the beauty of it is that we also can see the contrast in what others are going through and see where we really are lucky to be in the situations that we are. Maybe it's less than ideal, but you can still find gratitude in what you're going through and gratitude for everything that led you there. And one of the things that I want to close with is that more and more, and this is, I think, one of the most beautiful analogies that I've heard, is that life is like a football field. And whether you're into sports or not, just picture a field where a football field has a certain amount of yards. And this can also go to football, American football, European football, whatever, it really doesn't matter. But you can only see where you are on that field. But you're not aware of that bird's eye view of the field, of everything that's happened beforehand and everything that's about to happen for you. All you have is this very moment. And this very moment, how you handle this moment, also defines how you move forward. We never know how life is setting us up for the next thing. And most often, our suffering sets us up for such beauty because through different things that we've gone through, we're able to relate to others in ways that we never would have been able to relate to. And maybe you think to yourself, man, I'd rather not go through that than be able to relate to others. But we're all connected in this world, whether you want to believe it or not. There is a common thread that we all share. And one of those common threads is that we all suffer and we all go through challenges. And you just don't know where you are in that football field. But just know that it's all happening for your highest good if you believe it. And if you can extract the beauty despite the pain, this will help you compound to more and more beauty. But know that if you are suffering and if you are in pain and that if the world seems dark, that you're not alone. You're never alone. There are always resources and there are always hands that are there to help lift you up. And that's one thing to be grateful for. You never have to go it alone. If you go it alone, that is your choice. There is always a helping hand for you. And so, in closing, with Thanksgiving around the corner, just know that there's always something to feel grateful for, even if it's small. And the small things to be grateful for are some of the greatest things because they compound to the big things. And I also want to take this moment to say thank you to each and every single one of you for taking the time to listen and taking the time afterwards to reflect on what you're grateful for, how you can play the A to Z game, and how you can start finding joy and gratitude in the different things in your life. And thank you for being a part of my journey and helping me share my journey with you. And I hope that you have the most wonderful Thanksgiving with those that you love, however you're celebrating it. Even if you're not celebrating it, I hope you have a beautiful day and week ahead. So sending much light and all the best to every single one of you. Ciao.